Thank you. Welcome to our work session for March 3rd. Council and our lovely staff members who are doing presentations today just want to keep in mind that we have two public hearings. We try very much to start our regular meeting on time. We have public hearings because people may be coming in to make comments for those things specifically. And you'll notice we have a new helpful device to keep us on track, which is our clock here. And so it stares me right. You get to look at each other, it stares me right in the face. So if I seem conscious of that, you understand why.
Does it start ticking at any point?
No, I don't think it makes any noises.
It's like Austin.
I'm sure Scott would set it that way if we would let him. All right, we do not have any interviews this evening. Does anyone have anything they want to review on the regular agenda?
I don't have anything on the regular agenda, but I guess I do want to make a recommendation for the commission.
Okay, let's wait for updates and
Okay.
let's do that during updates. And so we'll go ahead and start updates with you, Emily.
Green Space and Plan Commissions both met yesterday, and from Green Space, just a reminder that Eco Ed series are ongoing. There's about one a month. And the last one on rain gardens was very well attended and very popular. So just to note that those are there. Arbor Day is April 15th at 5:30 at Larson Park. And I think you are there
Yes,
to
I will be there to do all things.
today, and I will be there as well. And it should be a really nice event. There is also a new poetry competition for Webster students. So
Okay,
all ages, including Webster University, all ages. That is a combination from Green Space Commission and Webster Arts. So there are flyers about that. It's on the city's webpage. That's a new thing for Arbor Day. They're excited about celebrating trees through poetry. That's it.
sounds good. Amy?
Yay, trees. I attended the Eco Ed series. It was really great. Good energy. Was really thrilled with the topic and the turnout. BDC meets on Thursday morning, and tomorrow morning, somewhat in my capacity as a Webster Groves council person, I'll be co-hosting an event about native plants in Maryland Heights. That's all I have.
Let's see, I attended the Eco Ed as well. It was a very good turnout. It was good to see it. It was nice to have council chambers just for change of scenery. That worked out really well. I don't know, did you say the next one is on March?
I didn't say the date.
Okay, the next one is March 16th. Green Space is organizing that. Sustainability and Old Orchard met in the last couple of weeks, and they both approved the reports and their budgets for 27. And I did have a question about Mayor's Youth Council.
Yeah, I can
Update
entertain
on
that.
that. Okay. That's all.
Emerson.
I have no other reports. Oh, yes, I do. August have been working on signs for the business district. And so now they're going to production, and now they're going to be put up. So probably within the next month, I guess. So they look really nice. They did a great job in design. So
Good.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead right now? I know you're talking about stormwater
Yeah.
commission, so why don't you bring that up as to what you're going to recommend?
I want everybody to know that from the Stormwater Commission, Liz, Sanan, myself, Jamie, and Emily, we all sat on a committee, or Joe Rodriguez as well. And we rated the applicants. Somebody did the grid that we used to.
Probably David. I can see him over your shoulder.
It's an excellent tool, and it kept us all on the same point. So what I want to do, since this is a brand new commission that we have collectively approved or agreed upon the 5 commission members and the 2 recommended. So I'm saying this, put it before the council to approve them without them coming in.
All right.
Yeah.
So the ask here is that we just go ahead and approve the 5 members that the subcommittee has identified as the appropriate members for the Stormwater
Yes,
Management Commission.
and the two alternates.
I was gonna get to that. I promise. I'm looking at our city clerk. Katie, do we don't have a requirement for an interview. That is just usually what we do. Is that correct? So we wouldn't be breaking any rules if we did this.
No.
Okay. And there were three council members already on this group. Do any of the other council members object to proceeding this way, seating the first 5 members based on the subcommittee recommendation?
I think it's a really efficient idea, and David's tool was extremely helpful. We had a very thorough conversation. I feel really confident with the folks that we select.
Okay.
I'm
And then
also comfortable with approving the slate.
anyone who didn't get a chance to review this, feel very compelled to review these. Are you okay with taking the subcommittee recommendation?
I'm okay with taking this up.
Yeah, okay. So here's what I'm gonna suggest then. If Katie, if you might contact the 5 members and tell them that what we need to do before we appoint them is to make sure they really still want to be appointed.
Samir, they've already been contacted. They're still interested.
No, exactly. It hasn't been contacted.
I thought you shared they had been.
Sorry.
Okay.
Well,
So-
then we do need to do.
So let's do this in 2 stages. Let's make sure we have the 5. If we don't have the 5, then we'll have you all take somebody from the 2 to do that, and then we can just appoint the entire commission together with however many alternates are available.
I think that's a great idea. And just to note that we had great applicants. They were like, the ones that didn't make the cut would make the cut if,
Yeah.
you know. So I think that regardless of how many we have left on the list, it would be great to keep them
Mhm.
in the file for future, to keep them under consideration.
And Katie, you look like you had a question.
So just at this point, the 5, contact the 5.
If you contact the 5, and if the 5 say that they would like to serve, then we'll contact the 2 to see if they want to be alternates, and then we can appoint everybody.
Okay, so we'll go on the 2 alternates till.
Until we've confirmed the 5, I think is.
You give Katie that info.
Okay, great. Thank you. I understand. Karen, we'll go back to you.
I don't have anything to report.
David,
Nothing for me.
back to you.
No, me.
Our pinch hitting city attorney. I'm gonna guess no updates from
Nothing
you.
for me.
Okay, I got a couple things. Thank you though for being here, Dave. Appreciate it. I had the pleasure to award Dottie Englis with a proclamation for her achievement in the arts, which was done in connection with the Repertory Theater, and they had a big event, and it was really, really nice. And I learned a lot about costume design. I'm not someone who knew anything about that. I know that's surprising to all of you. I wanted to pass along a thank you to James. If you would pass along to everyone at the rink. I attended Sam Linehan, who is the skating coach who was murdered, her celebration of life with the skating club, and they did mention how cooperative everyone at the rink had been, and they were very grateful for that. So thank you for facilitating that, and please do pass that along. And just, I think I've told some individual council members, just so you all know, I will be out the second half of the month from the 15th on with the medical thing. It's not a big deal. But I will actually probably not answer anything, which I know you all find unusual for me. So just to know that. Well, I mean, you can call, you just won't hear back from me. Which is not usual. So, all right. Anyone remember anything now?
Youth council.
Oh, yes, I forgot something. Yes.
Okay, I'm curious.
Yeah, so we received I think it is 8 or 9 applications. One was incomplete, so I asked them to finish that. So we'll see if they finish it. Which would fill our youth council, which is I think we set it up for 8. And what was really great is it's a variety of public and private schools. And so I expect that to share the applications with the 2 faculty members from Merrick's and Webster who agreed to kind of review for us and get their recommendations back. But I mean, it's sort of like what you said about the initial reviews they're all great. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Now, is that I read in the packet, the Webster High School wants to come in and sit on a council meeting.
Yeah, so their government club is gonna come to the council meeting. They were gonna come the 17th, but that's a light agenda, and then election night is a light agenda. So they're coming for the swearing in of new members, and because we do have some business for that night as well.
And cake.
And they'll eat the cake, so that'll be
Oh.
good. Yeah, so that's the first time they've asked since I've been mayor, so I thought that was really great.
Yeah, I did too.
So we will welcome them. Okay, we will start then with the City Hall Architectural and Structural Assessment. Mr. Booklist, Deputy City Manager, is moving already, so I'm gonna assume this is your show.
You got it. So I think everybody's fairly aware that the city hall. It's an older building. It's actually made up of multiple buildings that are all sewn together. And over time, it's starting to, I guess, show a little wear and tear. We know there are accessibility issues. There are issues with controlling access to various portions of the building from the general public. And we had a number of discussions, myself, Dr. Peoples, interim Scott Davis, as well as hearing some feedback from council about whether or not we ought to look at what would be necessary to bring this building into compliance with current codes, ADA and whatnot. And just to get an idea of how much that would cost versus, when I say versus a new building, and that's not to say that we would propose a new building, it's just to give you some context in terms of what those dollars mean. So our current building, it's City Hall and the two public safety buildings, about 30,000 square feet. Original building was in 1932. There was an addition in 73 and 03 with a slightly more recent renovation that occurred. And as I said, we wanted a sort of a clear-eyed, independent answer to a fundamental question. What will it take and what will it cost to bring this facility up to the standards that the city and the community deserve? And how would that compare to a new building? All keeping in mind that we have a building that everybody knows and loves, that has some historic value. And we just want to make sure that whatever we potentially would do, that it respects that historic context. So first thing I did was come up with some sort of general ideas of what would it cost to do nothing. And we know there are a lot of costs associated with that because maintenance has been deferred in many ways. And it's just, the fact is, it's an old building, things happen. In the last 5 years, over $650,000 has been spent on roof work. Over the last 5 years, about $62,000 has been spent on water intrusion and damage repairs, with a lot of that work being done in-house. Go ahead. Elevator repairs, I said over 5 years, it's about 6 years. About $135,000 has been spent on that one elevator that provides access to the entire building. Right, there we go. Electrical systems, we know it's an older electrical systems. There have been some upgrades, but it hasn't really been real expensive. Much of it we can do in-house, maybe a new outlet here, a new outlet there. And the way technology has changed, you don't have big server rooms anymore. So we actually caught a break with that. HVAC, we've spent some money over the last 5 years, over $50,000. Plumbing, not as much, about 4,000, but I think we've all run into some issues with the faucet that, the automatic faucet, you go to use it and that doesn't shut off. Interior fixtures and finishes, we've spent some money here, over 119,000 over the last 5 years, and that includes things like new flooring, new doors, all sorts of stuff in that nature. And then lastly, structural and foundation issues. We haven't really spent anything on that, but again, you have an older building built in 3 phases that's all sewn together. We haven't really tracked. We haven't done the assessment to see whether or not things are settling at the same rate. So we just don't know. Go ahead. So what will this study tell us? And just by way of background, we did issue an RFQ. And then we asked for a response after we identified a number of qualified firms. Go ahead. So option A, go ahead, is first, to bring the building into code and ADA compliance. Things, as I mentioned, such as the elevator, restrooms, accessible routes, egress, fire systems. Go ahead. Any structural and mechanical deficiencies, things that have been deferred or aging systems, whether it's HVAC or plumbing, any foundation roof issues. We know there are roof issues. Space utilization and security. Everybody wants this as their meeting room. We have another official meeting room in Osage, and then a bunch of other meeting rooms that historically were formerly offices. And then there's not controlled access. People can walk in the front door of City Hall and come straight upstairs. They can't go to planning or to where SS4A or IT is, but much of the building is wide open. And we don't know whether or not we can make better use of the space that we have already. And then, of course, we want to balance all that with historic preservation and try to respect the historic character of the building. Option B would be build new. Go ahead. And again, I said this is for context, and it will provide a full cost estimate for constructing a new municipal facility of about the same size and function, using land that the city either owns or we would have to acquire. A similarly sized building with a 20 to 30-year life cycle cost. You know, it gives us an apples to apples comparison. It's not a recommendation one way or another. Again, it's to provide some context so you know if it comes back and it's X million dollars, what does that really mean in practical terms? So the cost, you know, as I said, we had a number of firms that qualified as good firms. Of the 6, we had 2 that their bids came in really low. And because they were so low, we wondered what did they miss when they reviewed the scope. We had one outlier that was like crazy high, like more than double everybody else. And then we had 3 other firms that kind of were close together, a cluster that we thought were realistic. And of those 3 rather, we thought 2 of them stood out as probably the most qualified. Go ahead. And the range for those 2 was about 145 to 187,000. About 4 to 6 months from contract signing to a final presentation to you, with a number of phases from doing an investigation and assessment, doing the planning and cost analysis, and then presenting a final report to you. Right. And again, these costs are for planning costs, and that's also what they would give you the information so that you know what to do next. You know, they're going to give you an approximate cost of doing that new building, how much it's going to cost you to build it. There are no commitments. It would just be, I mean, it's not a small outlay, 145 to 187,000, but at least that would position you to make any future decisions that you feel might need to be made. Right. So what would the next steps be? If you want to say, you know what, you're done, this is not something we can afford this year. Okay, we understand that. That's where it would stop. But if you want us to move forward, we would finalize the scope, schedule, and fee. Those numbers were based, again, just on a written document. Once you sit down with the selected firm, there might be some nuance to exactly what it is that they would prepare for you. Go ahead. And then once you approved a contract, they would do an existing conditions survey. Go ahead. Then they would do a planning and cost analysis. Go ahead. And then lastly, they would do a final report and presentation to you. And that's really all I have to say at this point, because I know this is a tough decision. Again, I know there are budget issues you all are considering right now. So with that, I'm happy to entertain any questions.
What was the total of the cost? I didn't see a total anywhere, but so we've spent over the last 5 years.
I didn't do a total cost because frankly, we could have kept on looking.
That was about $1 million. I added
Were
it
you
up
on
this,
that?
I added it up this
Yeah.
afternoon. Yeah, what you showed us.
Sure. And you know, those were just broad categories that I kind of came up with off the top of my head. There could be other maintenance costs that frankly I missed.
Yeah, like we had to redo the front steps and.
We had to do a lot of plaza work, thank you, and we have just continued to have water leaks throughout the building, as you all know, with the chambers, but we have a lot of water leaks in Firehouse 1 as well. And so just as a reminder, when we first started looking at this, it was really about the ADA issues, the safety issues, that DCM book list talked about. But it was also because for the last 2 to 3 years, the fire department have requested modifications to Firehouse One. And those modifications are needed. But the cost, 2 to 3 years ago came in around $600,000. And so the conversation was really, is it wise to book that 600,000 in knowing that there are significant other costs? So that's really the impetus to the discussion, just as a little background.
And it just by way of background, also the 6 firms, I gave them a tour of the entire building, top to bottom, city hall, police and fire. The chiefs took us on tour of their buildings. So we saw everything top to bottom. That was actually very informative for me to see, how the firemen live, what's going on in the police offices and what happens. So, yeah.
Are these just firms that do assessments only? Are they architecture firms?
Oh, they're
Or do the
full-blown
work-
architecture firms,
Okay,
including
so they-
some that are local too.
Okay, so potentially they could do more work.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This seems to assume keeping Firehouse One, City Hall, and the police department all under one roof.
Yes. So
Okay.
as I said, we still have to go into final negotiations. And if you wanted additional options, say maybe just the firehouse being relocated or police and fire being relocated, well, what would that look like? We could certainly incorporate that into the final scope. That certainly would change the pricing.
Of course, yeah.
Are we thinking that this is gonna be a fiscal year 26 expense and we have enough funds available to cover it? Or is this something that's being considered as part of the FY 27 budget planning?
So not necessarily either. Again, we started working on this over the last couple of years, and this is just the timing. It's
Yeah.
come back now. It's budget season. It very well could be, as council continues to talk about, how do we position either one-time funds, plan for the future. So it could be this fiscal year, or it could be put into next year's plan.
If it was either way, are you thinking it comes out of those one-time funds?
Absolutely. It's perfectly poised for the one-time funds. And whether or not this is a year, it will really help council in the future understand better what direction, do you start planning for a bond? Do you start planning other things? Or do you invest the dollars? Is it better off to restore this building, which it very well may be?
For me, if we're thinking that it's coming out of the one-time funds, I would roll it into that conversation with that larger conversation about those reserves funds and include it in that list of projects. It may already be there.
Let me say the time frame. I remember seeing it,
4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months.
And the idea would be to keep it here in this location, right?
That's
That's
option
my
A.
assumption.
Option A, option, yeah.
If it's kept here, there's further discussions on go
For sure.
squirrel on you, but
Between-
where are you gonna put staff during those renovations and phase it out? So again, it's good information to start planning because none of this would be overnight.
So would the building be separated into sections, I guess?
We'll have to wait and see what the architect's gonna do.
I've often thought about the security on the second floor here. Anybody can walk in and walk up. And is that relocating Katie to a different area that's more secure, move some of the directors in this area to be closer to the.
I think that's what we would find out.
My assumption is that the cost will be for them to provide a proposed design for what the completed buildings would look like, taking into consideration those things that we provided as.
Yes.
Well, this wouldn't be a completed design, but it would give you a conceptual idea. So not giving you final plans.
Right,
Sure.
right.
I just want to be clear that, makes me nervous that this takes on a life of its own. That we do the study and then people expect right away, whether there are people who work in this building who I understand are working under not great conditions sometimes. But that, if we go forward with this, we're going to need significant time also to consider, what's the return on investment of each of those. I just don't want this to be read as all of a sudden we're deciding that we're going to, within the next 2 years, go out for a several $1 million bond
Right.
in order to do this, because I don't think that's what this decision is. This is just giving us information
To compare it.
and to spend some time thinking about what is the best use of of those funds.
And conceivably, if you wanted to move forward, we could have a follow-up conversation. We you figure out the things, like you said, do we relocate certain services? But it could also be, maybe we could ask the architect to present sort of a menu and say, okay, if we were to do item 1, 2, and 3, but leave off 4 and 5, what would that cost? So, sort of a menu of options.
So we get a couple of concepts, let's say, and then what would be the next step to analyze whether or not we move forward with the giant thing, or will they come back to us and say, if you just renovate this, and we can reimagine this phase?
Like I said, that's why they're going to give you the
Okay.
comparison of the two options, and then
Okay,
frankly, the hard work is for you all to make that
Okay.
determination.
thanks.
Did I hear you say that, don't include, information services, the, IT department?
Oh, no, it includes everyone. All I said was in terms of our ongoing costs right now, we haven't spent a lot, say, on electrical upgrades because the IT world has changed. You don't have a server room anymore because everything's on the cloud. So that's one place that we've actually not expended a lot of, ongoing maintenance funds.
No, almost.
But yeah, we
If
need,
anybody been down there, I have. They need space to work.
but yeah, and they require very particular kind of security,
Yes.
area as well.
Are the consultants also going to be familiar with the service center? Not necessarily that it's within scope, but just when we're talking about staff and moving people around possibly or areas, will they also be familiar with that?
I think that depends on the
Facility.
whole scope that is worked out when that meeting is held with whoever is selected. It certainly could be part of it. And my recommendation would be is if this is something council moves forward with, that you have that scope, you get all the questions answered. If you're gonna do it, you might as well include those things to plan. Regardless if this is done or not, council's in this building frequently. You know that there's gonna continue to be expenses for whether it's the leaks, some of the plumbing work that we've continued to have, and we will eventually, probably sooner than later, need some additional roof work, and then decisions have to be made with Firehouse One. So this gives a really good tool, as you said, Mayor, to compare that return on investment and how do we invest taxpayer dollars.
The elevator, we spend a lot of money on repairs. I think we've spent about as much as we can on repairs.
Yeah.
And the next step is replacement, and elevators are not cheap.
Yeah, I remember that cost.
All right, so we probably need each a decision here about what we would like to do. Do we want to proceed? Do we want to go ahead and empower staff to negotiate a contract here for this? That would be the next decision point if we decide to move forward.
I said yes. Because there's no way, so we can get these things in front of us and make decisions.
And we would then see that contract because we'd have to adopt it anyway.
Contracts
So
that
then-
have value would absolutely.
Yeah, and so then we would be able to discuss also, we'd see the different component parts of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
This-
Sorry, Emerson, I
It would just be the
interrupted.
first step in planning to see what's going to happen.
Right, so everyone seems to be nodding.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just want to make sure we keep it included in the overall reserve conversation, but I'm okay with moving forward with staff recommendations.
Okay.
I think eventually this is gonna be require a bond.
It's,
But
I
that's
mean, the
fair.
amount of money.
And we
But-
could update our city hall.
Well, and I think one of the things this will tell us is, if we're gonna go for a bond, that means we need to do some public
Yeah.
engagement about what does the public want out of it. If we're gonna have this much money, how do they want to use
Absolutely.
city
Where do
facilities? Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And this will help you tell the story.
Exactly. All right, I believe it's a pretty clear yes to go ahead with the contract execution, and we will then, get to review with you what the component parts are at that point in our regular meeting where we're approving the contract or discussing the contract. We'll see if we approve it.
Sounds great. I think I'm gonna be busy for a few weeks.
Yeah, it sounds like that.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We stayed under time.
We got time.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
All right.
A timer too. Okay.
Oh, who's having fun with this? Scott?
I believe we're gonna move on to our skate park discussion. Right? Director Boyd, who's starting here?
Yeah, everybody remembers Jonathan, Kate Lambert.
Yes, Jonathan, hey, welcome back.
So Jonathan will take over and we'll answer questions throughout or at the end. Thank you all.
Jonathan, they started the clock before you.
Back.
That's it.
On that.
Pause.
I observed my time. Yeah.
Here you go.
So.
And you can get that out.
Actually, this. Everybody's gonna get.
So, well, welcome back again for this. So this tonight we're talking about the skate park, which this happened at the same time as the performance park. This was part of the same project. Even though they talked about two very different things. And I met with, we had input from two very different types of groups for that. So yes, basically, move on to here. So the process is, well, it's the same with what we had before. So we met with the public two different times. We also sent out two different surveys that came back in, which came back was very helpful for this group. And then we came up with the final report. What was that? So in these two community surveys that we had, actually, we gave out two surveys. The skate park group provided a third survey themselves.
Nice.
We also had they also provided another input PowerPoint. There was tons of feedback that we've received.
It was amazing. And I love the age range of the feedback.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And the active group, it's a very active group within your city.
Yeah.
And includes people everywhere from young kids all the way up to those that are in their 60s that are still skating heavily or something.
I had somebody from California reach out that saw it on our socials and we've been in contact for months.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You better come visit when it's open.
He has flown out a couple times. So
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
he grew up skating.
Yes.
He's a good friend with us.
He's good friends with them.
You're name dropping and they knew.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but we looked through all this feedback that came through. And so the very first survey group, we talked more about what are the different style elements, because there's the intention most of the time was to upgrade the existing skate park location, keep it in the general location where it's at right now at Memorial Park. But we wanted to ask about what type of features they wanted, because that changes the style and the cost radically for that. And very heavily was towards the mix of kind of the street style and transition, which is more, instead of a court that has huge ramps everywhere, they don't want that. They want a lot more lower ledges and stuff that it's actually really helpful for younger skaters or people that are kind of newer to skating, instead of high-end pro skaters that are doing big half pipes. They're not. So it's good that there was a lot of agreements amongst the whole community for those styles. And then the second time around, we talked more about, we gave them several options within that location. And what we'll talk about a little bit further is actually switching the location of the roller rink and the current skate park. So they just flopped positions in that, so that roller rink keeps the exact same size as it has, but the skate park actually has access to more space to become a little bit larger. So that's what people generally wanted. 74% like that idea. So yeah, the two meetings, there were a lot of turnout. They definitely, like they said, they liked the plaza styles, and the location, they liked the larger of the two locations, which was really good. We'll move into that. They also did say, and we agree with this, is that the actual design of the skate park elements themselves, we need to bring in an actual skate park designer, because that's a very specialized style of design. And so,
Kind of an analogy to put with that. I've skated a couple times in my life in my younger days, but I'm a basketball player. So a feature that's supposed to be 3 feet and it's 2.5 feet, or it's 3.5 feet, or it's 4 feet, we might look at that and be like, yeah, it's a skate feature. Whereas basketball, you walk in and the goal is 9.5 feet, it makes a huge difference in the playing slash skating. So it's kind of a good analogy to look at when you're looking at this because it's so specific.
Kind of like golf course design.
It's very much like golf
Yeah.
course with
Yeah.
its own specialized field within
Yeah.
landscape architecture. And it's like the flow of the features coming together. And if you want to be efficient with your costs, you don't just like throw everything in there and hope it's good, because a lot of the people at the meetings told us, like, don't just throw everything in there. Don't waste your money doing all that. It needs proper layouts. So that's something that we keep in mind. So we came up with the the main options. So this is what, well, for one, the layout here is just something that's in place right now. It's just very much of an example. It's absolutely not final layout, any of the features. We just needed something on paper, but it shows what happens when we move the roller rink to the north. For that, the pool is up on the north side here. The tennis courts are over on the other side. Sometime at the moment, it's just moving the existing roller rink features to the north. This doesn't involve actually resurfacing that or getting new boards. That's some future project you guys decide upon. But the size stays exactly the same that they have, so we're not reducing what they have. But this, what happens is when you move it to the south, is that you now have access to, I guess, 3 hillsides that you can go into for features, which is a little bit nicer. And also it just gets them out so they're not jammed up against the pool and the tennis courts groups, and gives them a little bit more breathing room, which is great. And this is kind of an example of what street style skate parks are looking like, where it has a lot of features that can be used for multiple uses. Or while only maybe 4 people or 5 might actively be skating at any one moment, everyone else can like sit nearby, and they could usually swap in and out for activities that they're resting in. So it allows those. So some of the things we asked about, they wanted the shaped areas, some multi-use elements, lighting. There is existing lighting out there, which is good. There might need to be 1 or 2 poles or reconfigured in a way so it can light that area, but it's good. There's existing drinking fountain out there, but it probably, if you swap out part of that fixture with one that has a bottle filler, it might be a little bit more functional. That's a very simple thing parks do. And then for the cost for that, the skate park elements themselves probably cost only around $300,000, which is fairly close to what the budget was for that. Some of the other costs that we found when we were doing the master planning was that the existing concrete it's very rough and old. It's for the old ice rink, and it's not a good skating surface at all. And parts of it, probably half of it or something, might have to get torn out to be put down as the new, to make way for the new features that are going in, and also to put a surface on top. So that's going to be some costs. That's right now, this is assuming that that whole section for the skate park gets torn out. When you actually start getting into actual design, you'll be able to cut back some of that potentially for if you don't have to remove as much concrete as you thought, which would be nice.
And some of those, just to highlight a couple of things, some of those areas John was talking about is just like a safety thing from skating because the concrete is so porous. And then you have like your push zones that are in between features. So the layout, simplistic, but it bodes well with what the residents wanted, in the sense of the features are multi-use, whereas a beginner can use them, a higher end person can use them as well. So we're very excited about that portion.
Yeah. And let's see, lighting, stormwater, utilities, actually most of that or half that cost or larger really comes down from MSD. Anytime you touch anything basically at Memorial Park, you're going to be putting in a new rain garden, other areas, just because disturbance for that. And so there's a big cost built into there of what they're probably going to be asking for. But
Does the professional fees include the skate park expert designers? Is that where that?
yeah, this is basically the designers for landscape architectures, skate park designers. That's all like 9% for design plus it's the standard fees that the municipal park grant allows anyways. If you go out for that, it's in there. So, but all that to be fully built into that fee.
And what was the original budget line for this
The original estimate was 250,000.
in Prop W?
Mm.
So this would be,
Yes.
Is there any way for, like for the stormwater piece of that, that we can access like Deer Creek watershed funding?
I don't know if it's
How does
any
that
of
work?
those.
Wouldn't be Deer Creek, but
watersheds.
it might fall under one of the OMCI
Okay,
areas.
thank you.
then we can't use those funds for another project.
Right.
So obviously, we're talking about the money here. Right now, it looks, I mean, do we think we can find some of this money within the Prop W budget already, that exists already? Or, because I know we built in some contingencies, performance parks needs to be coming in under. So what are we thinking about what we might really have to think about beyond Prop W?
Yes, I think this can be handled in Prop W and or mini park grants, to cover this. Like you said, the performance park, which we were kind of looking at these a little bit combined since they were both happening at Memorial. We originally envisioned them both happening at Memorial Park with the performance park coming in significantly under its total. This one going up a little bit. The money's going to be a wash there. Their funding is available.
Is there a restroom over there? Do we have?
Yes.
So that would, no change to that, that's just existing.
It's right near the water fountains.
Yes. Yeah. Where the water fountain is, there's a sidewalk that goes into the tennis center, and there's a restroom right there.
Side of the pool entrance building.
Yeah.
What's the time frame you're looking at?
What we're seeking tonight is just, after this presentation is the next step would be to go out to get, actual costs and go out to RFQ or RFP. And then depending on that, once we gather that information, we come back for approval and then start going on a skate park. Obviously we can, perfect conditions, which never happens, as far as weather. Typically it's about 1 week per 1,000 square feet, roughly. That's what a designer I was informed of last week. So it's just hard to say, but that's with perfect weather conditions.
So about 12 weeks.
Yeah, around 12 weeks.
Is there a location potentially for art, to program some art? I don't know if it would be on the side of the tennis courts, with a windscreen that's well decorated and designed, or just installation, wall art, paving patterns or anything, just to kind of enliven it.
How about graffiti,
Yeah,
like mural?
right.
Right.
Yeah.
So they could do something somewhere. There's lots of local people around that can do that. Great canvas.
We have kicked that idea around in the past. There are some skate parks that actually have graffiti walls that
yeah.
can be painted by the local users, with their respectful time frame that you put yours up and it stays there for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and then somebody else gets the opportunity to come over and do another artwork over the top of it on a revolving type of basis. That is a model that is done in a lot of skate parks around the country.
So that'd be cool.
So Jonathan and James, at the very south end there, it talks about digging into the hill. So is that a ramp? Would that, I mean, obviously we're not in design, but would that be likely something like that, or would it be a sitting spot? Because you're talking about a graffiti wall, one of those higher walls might be pretty cool.
It could be on one of those.
Yeah.
These two sides.
It's definitely a potential is what we kind of designed. That would go up and be a ramp, and then also a seating area along there. It's kind of a multi-use area. But
Yeah, there's lots of nonprofits that are
Oh,
all wall art
yes,
oriented.
yeah,
so-
and it's a neat idea just because it lightens the place up.
Correct.
Adds
Yeah,
extra
it makes it
flair,
more vibrant.
and it's not just concrete
Yeah.
everywhere.
So yeah, you might have something like this on one of those hillsides, either adjacent to the tennis courts or on that southern side. And that'd be your spot for platform seating for the next group to take off or watch, but also your takeoff point, so you get a little bit more speed as you're coming off of that.
Gotcha. Okay.
What's the usage of the inline rink like? Is that still highly used? And we haven't really talked about this because we're mostly talking about the other part of the skate
Sure.
park, but
And
that's still a
that's an
highly used.
that's an area that will come to life with the water park construction. That site was used as a construction zone area. But so we're gonna do a lot that's gonna come to life, especially after this. But historically, yeah, it's been used.
So that does that area need to be resurfaced too? Is that part of that resurfacing number, or is that a totally separate inline area would be a totally separate cost and project?
Yeah, one of the real reasons we need to resurface the skate park is you do fall quite a bit more as you're trying these tricks. And the concrete that's out there now is just a little too rough for that because it's cheese grater effect when you fall. Not that folks don't fall on the inline rink, but you're typically wearing knee pads, helmets, and you're not falling as much because you're not trying to do 360 flips with their ollie and whatever else they do with the skate, all those terms.
You're not trying.
I'm not trying to break it.
Yeah. Inline wheels are also more forgiving. And so an inline course, it can take the current concrete fine. And then in the future, when you do upgrade that, there's just a thinner surface that you can pour over it that inline can take. That'll be good. But skate parks with skateboarding, that little surface will just get tore up and won't last very long. So unfortunately, because of the two differences, the skate park needs proper concrete base, whereas inline, it can take a nice thin coat over the future.
Or you can sport court.
Like a sport court,
yeah,
you can take, there's tiles or things that you can do.
Plethora of options.
Oh, I'm in favor of the master plan for the park, but watching the Olympics.
Are we gonna talk about curling again?
Wish it was. What type of liability do we actually have out there with skate parks?
I'm sorry.
What type of liability? Do we require helmets, knee pads, all that kind of stuff? Or
We don't we don't staff it and we don't require, we don't have rules that you have to wear helmets and knee pads in order to skate. So a lot of it is kind of assumption.
Basically skate at your own risk.
Well, I think liability would arise once we negligently maintain it.
Right, it's like any other park, right? So if we've got other places that are dangerous as well, if they're not maintained correctly or used inappropriately. Just because it's concrete and used for a different purpose doesn't mean that there's not also an assumption of risk there.
And the culture of skaters, they know they're gonna fall.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like hockey folks. They don't get your teeth knocked out and you're skating 30 seconds later in the Olympics. And it's just it's a little different than some of our other use areas where they're not as litigious. They're not looking for that type of stuff. Not that the liability is not there, but
It's kind of a difference between a risk and a hazard. As long as it's risky is okay, but if it's hazardous, like there's exposed rebar, that's a city issue.
Mhm.
So
Well, that brings up a good point. So like, what is the maintenance upkeep for a skate park? Like, is it gonna be anything more significant than what we previously had?
What we previously had was some metal, they were metal ramps. I foresee way less upkeep because the metal is, rusts and it becomes weak, whereas the concrete, it's very, very durable. So I don't see a lot of, will there be some upkeep years down the road, of course, but compared to what we used to have, it's going to be a major upgrade.
I mean, if we're gonna go through this whole process, I would imagine we should probably name this skate park too. Start thinking about what we're gonna name it. And start.
The guy from California.
I think it should be David Franklin.
Well, no, that would be an oxymoron. But maybe we could figure out where there to help with fees, figure out if there was contributions that people want to contribute.
Maybe right.
Maybe
There have been
Yeah.
contributions. We have community contributions.
We do.
For some of this.
So we did.
You can do City Hall too.
Okay, any other questions? Do we feel pretty good about moving forward with this? I think so.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is
Thank
great.
you, yeah.
Have a
You
pre-year
know what,
skate
I'm not, people were excited about the pool, but the level of
Yeah,
excitement about
I
the
know.
skate park, I think is almost as great, so it's nice to move forward.
Excited.
Okay, the last thing on our work session agenda in terms of topics was that we received, as a courtesy from, Director Boyd as well as the Parks and Recreation. And, well, we don't do that in work sessions, so they can ask a question or make a comment in the regular meeting, but. Anyway, sorry, excuse me, we totally lost my train of thought. As a courtesy, we received the recreation fee proposal from the Parks and Recreation Commission and from James. We do not formally vote on that. We don't need to formally vote on that, but we just wanted to provide an opportunity if anyone had questions or concerns to go ahead and raise them at this point.
Well, the only question I had when I first came in, how did we end up in the swim season as far as the cost of the pool?
As far as the,
Like admission.
Revenue,
revenue?
admissions, how much did we lose?
oh yeah, so we brought in, for aquatic and youth, for residents, it was, 70, oh, sorry. For non-resident dailies, it was around 326,000. And then resident was 78,200. So a significant amount. But this was the first year we were extremely busy all day, every day. So,
We're profitable.
yes, yes.
I don't need it now, or
No, yeah.
whatever, but the analysis that was provided when we was doing the pool, you know, we need this to operate it and how much. I'd like to see that updated, to see how close we came to the projections.
I would say we exceeded the projections on year one. Be more interested to see what year two brings when it's not the latest and greatest. It's still a phenomenal facility. It's still the newest, but some of the newness will have worn off for some people, especially our non-residents that traveled to come to us.
Right.
Because didn't we think it would be, you know, we need to really kind of look over a 3-year period at least to try to get a realistic idea of what the normal might look like.
And we get the same questions we do every year when we raise the fees, you know, well, how much money did we make?
Right.
You know, how did we come out? And we just need to be ready.
And the main reason for looking at this, and as we all know, costs go up. So, you know, with the pool management contract, cost goes up, chemicals go up. The minimum wage is going up to $16 an hour, and that's a significant $50,000-$60,000 impact just for this one area within the Parks and Recreation Department. So increasing a minimal amount for daily users, it goes a long way to offset those costs. And also to we're right in line with surrounding municipalities. Our last daily increase is in 2001. Staff is not recommending any membership increases at this time. Just
And that's for the resident rates. We did increase the non-resident rates when we opened the pool to kind of, because the residents had already done the bond issue, right? So we increased those to 15 last year, I think, and with the 17, how does the 17 fall in line with our neighbors?
Kirkwood's non-resident is 17, and City of Baldwin is 17 as well as the others.
Are there others that are lower?
There are the one thing, I apologize, I'm finding something. You do have to consider the size of our pool and the amenities that we offer as well versus just a normal smaller pool.
There's also higher ones too.
Yeah.
Maryland Heights is higher, St. Charles is higher, so we're right in that sweet mid upper midpoint.
All right, are there other questions? All right, thank you very much, and thank the Parks and Recreation Commission for their review. We will then take a short break and start right at 7:30 in our regular meetings. Welcome, everyone. Get ourselves all organized here. Welcome to our meeting for March 3rd, 2026. We are happy to have you here with us. We welcome questions and ideas and comments from those of you who are in attendance. If you would like to make it, we have actually 3 opportunities for public comments today. We have one public hearing on Euclid Elms, another public hearing on front-facing garages, and then our usual remarks of community and visitors. If at any of those 3 times you want to make a public comment, I'm going to ask you to fill out a card like this, which are available over by the door. I know some of you have already done that, and I appreciate it. And if you do fill that card out, you can hand it to the end of the dais to the city clerk. If you are online and you're going to want to make a public comment, we will ask you to raise your hand when the time comes. And if you'll just use that Zoom function, we can call on you and allow you to talk at that point in time. We are going to ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes so we can make it through our agenda in an orderly way. All right, I think we are ready for the call of the roll.
Yes, Mayor. Mayor Arnold,
Here.
Councilmember Bliss,
Here.
Councilmember Franklin.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Alexander.
Here.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd.
Here.
Councilmember Hasselmeyer.
Here.
All right, we're going to start with a proclamation. Normally, I would do this. I'm a little under the weather, and so Pam has volunteered, Councilmember Bliss has volunteered to do the reading of the proclamation. And so we're going to ask for Stanley Brown and Arlene Mamita Brown to come to the front, please. Pam's going to meet you down there. Just turn on that microphone a little bit. And she's going to do the honors. Thank you so much for coming. We're really happy to have you here.
Hi, Arlene.
How we doing?
Good to see you. So yeah, I'm going to read this proclamation for Arlene and Stanley. Whereas Webster Groves wishes to recognize restaurateurs Stanley Brown and Arlene Maminta Brown. And whereas Stanley grew up in Ireland and he studied hotel and restaurant management and culinary arts and is a certified sommelier. Arlene studied English and communications at the University of Missouri Columbia and has an extensive background in branding, social media, marketing and development, and public relations. And whereas they opened their first robust location in Webster Groves in 2007, an anchor in Old Webster, and it was named the St. Louis Magazine's Restaurant of the Year in 2008, Sauce Magazine's Reader's Choice Favorite Wine Bar in 2010, 2011, and 2013. Stanley and Arlene are also co-owners of Webster's Madrina with Parkmore Drive-In's Frank Mamano and Laura Burns, and both restaurants are members of the Green Dining Alliance. And whereas Stanley and Arlene have 2 daughters and have been part of the Webster Groves community and a supporter of the entire St. Louis region, over 100 organizations have benefited from proceeds from wine tastings, wine auctions, and other charitable events. Arlene is a strong supporter of Marygrove and Florissant, is active with COCA, served on the board of directors of Les Dames d'Escoffier International, and helped launch STL.org. They both have encouraged others to patronize local restaurants, shops, and small businesses because local businesses are the heartbeat of our neighborhoods and the spirit that makes our communities so special. Now, therefore, I,
Bill and Pam
Pam
Bliss.
Bliss, council member of the
No,
city of-
you're Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem of the city of Webster Groves, on behalf of the entire city council, wish to thank you and honor Stanley and Arlene, and to hereby proclaim March 6th, 2026, as Stanley Brown and Arlene Maminta Brown Day in the city of Webster Groves.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you guys.
Really, yeah. Thanks for all you've done for Webster. We appreciate it. And you're welcome to stay, but it won't hurt our feelings if you go celebrate elsewhere. Here, please go ahead and speak in the microphone. You're welcome
I'm
to.
crying. You know, when we opened Robust so many years ago, you've always welcomed us. We love this community forever. We've always felt like home here, and we will be here for as long as we can. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I just want to add one thing. I remember coming here when we came up to open the business, and you guys going like, "What are you doing? Opening a wine bar? Is that going to be a liquor store, or what are you doing?" But the Webster community did rally around us, and it was so supportive and made us very successful for a long time. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to begin with our first public hearing. Our first public hearing is 15/23/131/133 Euclid Avenue, otherwise known as Euclid Elms, under properties. An application by Robert Keeney to amend ordinance 9186 for the above properties to allow submittal of a subdivision plot in lieu of a condominium plot. The properties are located on a 1.09 acre lot in the A4 7,500 square foot residence district and are being developed as a planned environmental unit. All right, I have officially opened the public hearing. Hello.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council.
We will turn this over to Dr. Wagner.
Thank you. So this one is fairly straightforward. I hope this mouse works. See, it's an amendment to ordinance number 9186, and it's a fairly straightforward amendment, as I'll show you. Oops. Yeah. There aren't that many. There it is. So it's an amendment. It's 6 single-family homes being proposed, and the final development plan was approved back on June 21st, 2022. So it's been a few years. And the 2022, yes. And that's the ordinance is dated that, the one that's in your packets as well. And there are no changes whatsoever proposed for the physical layout of the plan. Next one, please. So the only proposed change is to, instead of using a condominium plat as the ordinance calls for now, they would like to use a subdivision plat. So go to the next one, please. So the only change is where the word condominium is in number 3. Next one, please, Karen. Goes to subdivision, and that's the only change. And Mr. Robert Keeney of Onder Properties is here in case you have any questions for him.
All right, council, any questions?
Yeah, I do have one. So it went from condominium to subdivision.
Yes.
Any material changes?
Nope, none whatsoever. All the setbacks will be the same. Physical layout will be the same. It's just an ownership issue. The property owners will own the land itself as well as the building. Whereas with a condominium, they would have simply owned the inside part of the building. Whereas in the homeowners association would have owned the building, the ground, and so on and so forth.
So, if this was done, approved originally 2022, we're at 2026.
Been a while.
Do we have any idea of when the owners want to start construction?
Hopefully fairly soon. Mr. Keeney might be able to answer
Mr.
that.
Keeney,
If you
do you want to make any comments on that?
Within 2.5 months.
Okay.
so.
Would you mind just repeating that?
And within 2.5 months.
Yeah,
And he has been talking to our department about some infrastructure issues and so on. So I have no reason to doubt that.
The common ground, that belongs to the subdivision and not,
Correct.
okay, so that won't be the city's responsibility.
No, that'll be platted out when the subdivision plat hasn't been submitted yet. We had to do this before we did the subdivision plat. So that'll come in fairly quickly if this is approved.
So with these being a subdivision plat as opposed to a condominium plat,
Mhm.
and the owners are then now, the buyers own the building individually, how does that impact the consistency of the buildings? I mean, so now you have individual builders, you have those homes sold individually, one at a time. We don't have the guard rails around what a condominium typically has about.
I assume they'll all be built together and sold. Mr. Keeney may be able to elaborate on that as well.
And why don't you come on up to the microphone, please?
So is the plan still to have basically a homogeneous community there with one builder building all of these
That is
properties as opposed to individual homeowners getting their own builders to build the property?
That's correct. We will build out the entire project. So it will not be selling the land and other builders coming in, building the property.
Thank you.
Right, other questions?
Just to note that this was discussed pretty thoroughly at Plan Commission, and one of the impetuses for the change is that changing this from condominium to subdivision will make it easier for people to get lending to purchase a unit there, purchase a home there. So that's a positive thing, and it seems to be a small change. So I have no concerns.
Right, any other questions? Right, thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
I do not have any cards for public comment. If you are joining us for the Euclid Elms? Yeah. Oh, well then please come on and bring your card, Mr. Buck. And while Mr. Buck is coming forward, if you would like to make a public comment and you are online, please go ahead and raise your hand and we'll get to you in just a minute. Yes.
There it is. No, my question is that given the historic gentrification that has gone on in North Webster, most recently the castle that's on Dornell Drive, this huge mansion castle, I'm curious, what is the targeted price point for these subdivisions, for these 6 units? Is it affordable housing? Is it mid-level housing? Is it luxury housing? I think we ought to know, given particularly the history of North Webster. The other comment that I would make is that this is Anders' property. I've had a few email conversations with Jim. He's all into winning. He's all into deal making. And here is my proposal. He owns, according to Brian McLean, 10 different homes in North Webster neighborhood. I don't know if they're occupied. But the thing is, given your great new first CLT housing, community land trust housing, is that I would try to make a deal with Jim. Euclid Elms, for having him donate some of the houses that he has in North Webster, which I think are unoccupied, which would be perfect for CLT homes. That's great.
Thank you, Mr. Buck.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, I do not see any hands raised, so up. Yes, but it said that was for front-facing garages.
Yes. Can I
We-
talk
We're
about that?
doing Euclid Elms, which is a housing development. We'll do the next public hearing in just a moment. Do you want to talk about Euclid Elms as well as front-facing
I
garages?
just want to talk about mine.
So we're.
About your garage doors?
What I want to put, as the code is right now, I can't build a garage in my house. Okay, I'm 118.
Okay, so what we're gonna do then is we are going to make that for regular comments, public comment period. Because right now we need to keep it within the scope of this public hearing, which is.
Tell me
Euclid
when.
Elms. I will call on you, I promise. All right. So I'm now going to ask the city attorney to read into the record the appropriate items, please.
We would ask made part of the record the exhibit list 1 through 5 that's been provided on this list and was presented to this council.
All right, thank you. And then Councilmember Hasselmeyer, could you call for the first and second reading of bill number 9298, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to call for the first and second reading of bill number 9298.
Second.
I think I was supposed to close it before the first and second reading, but so it's closed, and may we now have that reading.
An ordinance approving an amendment to ordinance 9186 in order to allow the Euclid Elms project located at 1523, 131, and 133 Euclid Avenue to be recorded as a subdivision plat in lieu of a condominium plat.
Is there any further discussion? We'll have the second reading, please.
An ordinance approving an amendment to ordinance 9186 in order to allow the Euclid Elms project located at 1523, 131, and 133 Euclid Avenue to be recorded as a subdivision plat in lieu of a condominium plat.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to our second public hearing. The zoning code text amendment for front-facing garages. Proposed amendments include changes to section 5 through 53.203 of the zoning ordinance governing front-facing garages, and we're keeping him busy tonight.
Good evening. That's okay. So this one is an amendment to uh-oh. There we go. Thank you, Karen. An amendment to the front-facing garages, and we've been talking about this for quite a while. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So here's the meeting dates that we've talked about this at all four of the commissions: Plan Commission, Historic Preservation Commission, Sustainability, and the Architecture Review Board. At least the four that had purview over this. And of course, I think I gave a short presentation in the study session on December 16th. Next one, please. And just to recap what the changes, what the commission's thought about it, the Plan Commission chose not to recommend any changes at that time in lieu of any formal zoning ordinance text amendments, which of course there was back on February 2nd. The Historic Preservation Commission chose to, and there were three possible amendments that basically everybody had to choose from. The first one is to eliminate the requirement that 40% of the homes on both sides of the block must have front-facing garages in order to apply to build another one, aka the 40% rule. Another one is adding a requirement that the front side of a projecting front entry garage be made of the same material, and I have a visual for that momentarily. And the last one was to eliminate the option of ARB approving a front-facing garage that is larger than what the code allows if, again, 40% or more of the homes on both sides meet that requirement. The Historic Preservation Commission was opposed to getting rid of the 40% rule, but they were in favor of adding the architectural style part, and they were in favor of getting rid of eliminating the ARB approving something. So next one, please. And the Sustainability Commission really didn't comment a tremendous amount on either one of those, but the ARB had the same recommendations that the Historic Preservation did. Keep number one, keep the 40% rule, add 3A, which we'll go over momentarily, and also eliminate the ARB rule. Next one, please. So basically, a summary, strong support from the ARB and the HPC for the proposed changes. The Plan Commission chose not to comment in lieu of a zoning ordinance revision, which is what we're doing tonight. And the Sustainability Commission cautioned against revisions that would have adverse environmental impacts, not surprisingly. So next one, please. So these are the changes that were proposed at the Plan Commission, and this is what they recommended approval of. Keeping the the front entry garage, keeping the 40% rule basically, and also adding 3A. If a garage projects in front of or is set back from the primary front elevation, the side elevation between the two front-facing facades shall also be considered part of the primary front elevation and have the same and be architecturally integrated with the rest of the front. And I have a visual for that. And then the size exception, this is the very bottom of the section 53-.203, limiting or eliminating the ARB exception. So next one, please. This is the 3A part, and you notice that on the top picture, the B is made of a different material than A on there. Well, with this amendment, they need to be all architecturally similar to make it look better. So picture's worth 1,000 words. Next one, please. So this is ordinarily way too much text for one slide, but this is section 53.203 in its entirety. From A, front entry garages, keeping the 40% rule. The blue font's not showing up very well there. But 3A is added. And the last one, which perhaps should have been 9, but wasn't, at least not in the code, that section is crossed out. So that would be removed. So I would be happy to answer any questions.
If you eliminate the option for the ARB to whatever number 3 was, what would the next option be for anyone? Is there?
They simply, I mean, that is to have 40% of the homes on the same block would be able to have a larger garage than what the code allows for. The ARB could approve that. That's what that provision is.
Could you go to Board of Adjustment? If we got rid of that, you'd still be eligible to appeal somewhere.
Correct.
It would be Board of Adjustment.
Correct.
But you would have to show a hardship.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
Correct. And I note that the ARB, of course, was in favor of eliminating this exception as well. So
Couple of questions about how we enforce the 40%. We know that we have carports on
Yeah.
some neighborhoods. Are they counted as front-facing garages?
they are. That's the way the code's been interpreted, from what I understand. And my predecessors had done the same thing, although there's nothing explicit in the code that says garages and carports shall be counted together. So it's been interpreted that carports are included, but it's not technically part of the code.
And if I were a homeowner who encloses a front-facing garage as, say, a family room, does that still count when you're doing the 40% on a particular street?
Yes.
Okay. Would it be helpful to you if it were more explicit about carports, or is the policy enough?
I think it would be good to add something in, maybe in the definition, which I did. I got it over there, but yeah, it would be good to add it in the definition of garage and say garages to being carports included or something along those lines. But I think it would be good to make it explicit instead of just assumed.
So could you provide us with an amendment that would do that in the appropriate place, in the appropriate way in
Sure.
the code? Okay.
I'd be happy to.
Rather than some of us trying to shove it in ways that probably aren't the best. I'll let some other people go before I have a second question, but anybody else have questions? No?
Well, the other question was around how the historic districts are protected or in this capacity, because there's nothing in here that says that historic districts are subject to anything other than the same thing, or
Correct. Correct. They would not be protected by, I mean, they would be allowed to propose a front-facing garage. I don't know how often that would happen, given the layout of the lots and so on. And there are guidelines for preservation for some of the language actually is quite similar on all of them. And It's new auxiliary buildings such as garages, pool houses, et cetera, and changes to auxiliary buildings will be reviewed in order to encourage the preservation of carriage houses and barns. So doesn't seem to be a tremendous amount of protection from somebody proposing a front entry garage.
So is there, should we not consider that for historic?
We certainly can, yeah. It's, well, I'm not sure what the justification for the 40% thing was several years ago. But I think if it was meant to preserve historic districts or not, I don't know, but I think it has served that purpose maybe. But yeah, I think it would be probably prudent to include something that would protect the historic districts as well, if the 40% rule were to go away. Right now, it's proposed to stay in. But so as it's written right now, I think it's working just fine for the historic districts.
Well, but I think you bring up a good point too, is that in terms of looking at how the 40% was arrived at, and is that still a appropriate percentage to use, you know?
Yeah, that's a fair question. We haven't done any analysis saying, well, would 30% work? Would 50% work? Mr. Bookless has some ideas.
Yeah, I have a little bit of historic knowledge in so much as I worked here back in the day when this rule came about. And the 40% rule, two things. There was a desire to maintain the physical character of existing neighborhoods in Webster Groves at the time amongst the folks that were sitting at the dais at that time. Where the number 40 came from was elsewhere in the zoning ordinance. That was a number that was used as a sort of trigger to allow for other exceptions to the rules, like setbacks, for instance, that if 40% or more of the houses on a block between two intersecting streets were, say, closer to the street than what would otherwise be allowed, then an exception would be allowed from that established setback. And that's where that was derived. No other reason.
So nothing that is really about garages for the 40%.
It was just the same, sort of, the same precedent that was set. But the reason that they were concerned about front-facing garages was to maintain the historic character of the neighborhoods, not just historic neighborhoods, but the neighborhoods across the board.
So I don't know that if it's 30% or 50% or 60%. I mean, I don't know. I really haven't given that a tremendous amount of thought.
Require some kind of audit to really do that appropriately, so.
Well, it's also sort of a counterfactual. Since we don't have it, it's hard to project what would be the tipping point, right? Because that's what people talk about in changing the 40%, is that we're going to reach some sort of tipping point in which a whole bunch of front-facing garages are going to be built. And I mean, it's hard to guess what that would be.
And we get a few that come in and talk about one having a front-facing garage, and they say, well, we only got 30% of the homes, so it's a very small sample size. So I don't know if it's 20%, 30%, or where the graph starts to head down. So,
is there other discussion? So I think the easiest way would be if you would provide one, it can be me, it could be someone with an amendment to make sure we're counting that way. Frankly, I'm still considering whether the 40% is exactly right. We have put the public to hear from. We also have to, there's another meeting in which we can discuss this. So, I'm not ready to make up any minds yet, but I think the amendment would be important.
Would you like that this evening or for the next meeting?
I think for the next meeting it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I can come up with a definition, a new definition of garages. So.
Anyone else?
Yeah, can I just ask a question? Like, with the knowledge that I know we've talked about this quite a bit. So do you have any fears that, we'll have like just a run on front-facing garages all of a sudden before we go through our code assessment process to kind of make sure there are fair guardrails? Like with lot area ratio.
It's a possibility, depend on how we define open the floodgates, but it's possible that if someone was thinking about it before they would probably do it sooner rather than later. But I'm not sure if that's a deciding factor necessarily when you're building a home, or if you're going to do that. But yeah, if they would want to get it in, if that, yeah, I mean, I see your point though.
Okay. And then, and we've been assured like these won't be like snout type houses, correct? Like with the garage all the way in the front and then the house like behind it.
I don't know that it wouldn't. I don't know if there's anything that says you can't do that. They can't.
It's protected. I mean, but it's protected under subpart 3.
Okay.
Yeah, they'd have to, look nice anyway. So
Yeah.
the same as all the rest of them.
Okay. And then in your estimation, Dr. Wagner,
David said that was also the purpose of the original amendment, was to prevent the snout houses. So I remember he and I talked about that at one
Right.
point. Yeah.
and then, having houses with front facing garages, will that make like more modest housing stock available and more attainable to live in Webster? Do you see that as like a benefit of this change?
I don't know. I haven't studied the issue.
Okay.
I haven't looked at the data that says garages would front facing garages would make a home more affordable. It may or may not. I don't know.
Okay.
I'd be happy to try to find out.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, other questions from council? Okay, we're gonna move on to our public
Thank you.
comments then. And again, these are comments for the front-facing garage discussion public hearing. I'm gonna start with Bob Buckman. And just a reminder, please give us your name and your address. And the microphone is on, so we're good.
Great, thank you. Bob Buckman, 308 Newport. 28 years lived there, and it's one of those neighborhoods that doesn't have a lot of front-facing garages, but we do have some. They're architecturally integrated with the rest of the neighborhood. So one of the things, when I heard about this at first, I thought, I didn't know what the 40% rule was. I understand it was a compromise that was reached about 20 years ago, which established this ordinance that requires architects, builders, designers, developers, and homeowners to think about established patterns and the curb appeal of the neighborhood as a whole prior to designing a house. The 40% rule protects established patterns of all of our neighborhoods. That's what I've come to learn, not just in historic districts, but also in neighborhoods like mine, which are not historic. It ensures that architects, builders, developers, homeowners who want to design a new home have to think about the established patterns and the curb appeal when they're designing that home. These patterns to each of our unique neighborhoods are important because that's what gives each of our neighborhoods their unique curb appeal and value, both monetarily and otherwise. So I looked at it, and the question was, if you want to design a house, a new home on a block with a front-facing garage that has none, you actually can do that with a variance. There is a way. Architects and designers know how to design affordable housing that is sustainable within a context that fits into the look of a neighborhood, with or without a front-facing garage. There are design tools. It's been done in multiple locations within Webster Groves. That sometimes the garage is tucked under the first floor, so you see the housing all sort of maintain that same rhythm. Sometimes the garage is pushed back, so the houses, that it doesn't take over the character or turn to the side. So I think the rule is put in place to make architects, designers, builders, developers think about the context. and it does affect the value of the home you're going to place there and the homes next to it. So it seemed to make sense. Removing the ordinance, I think, removes a layer of protection, which makes each of our neighborhoods unique. So I was just going to encourage the council to keep the 40% rule in place for that reason. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next card is Tracy Collins.
Good evening, Tracy Collins, 862 Greeley Avenue. And I am speaking about keeping the 40% rule. And I wanted to speak about it in regards to our new comprehensive plan that was created with citizen inputs, very similar to how the 40% rule came about. I understand the comprehensive plan as a guideline for decision-making moving forward and should be referenced as such. We've invested significant time and money to create this great plan, so working against it just completely undercuts the process and the voices made, or voices heard to create it. In that regard, changing the code to allow front-facing garages anywhere within our city works against the goals laid out in this comprehensive plan. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of points. Taking directly from the plan in Pillar 1 is resilient neighborhoods, and I quote, "Preserve the character and identity of Webster Groves, including its distinctive architecture, built environment, and design standards." So in the interest of time, I just wanted to highlight a few bullet points to illustrate the potential impacts of having regularly allowing front-facing garages without any kind of variance for legitimate hardships. We are going to disrupt the traditional landscape, which predominantly features porches, stoops, gardens along the street. Large doors are going to dominate the facade that erase that pattern and erode it. Front-facing garages, as we've talked about, are more common with suburban developments and not consistent with Webster's appealing heritage. And that's not something that typically homeowners come to Webster to find. They're looking for that heritage and that feel. Front-facing garages and driveways consume green space. The driveways are going to be 20 feet wide, and that's going to be taking away our lawns and our trees. Trees are going to be sacrificed to create these driveways. And then also from our own website, I'm quoting, "The city of Webster is often recognized for its trees and tree-lined streets. Since 1983, it has been designated Tree City USA." Trees are definitely going to be sacrificed if this code is amended. Then also wanted to point out the stormwater impact. Adding more pavement in front of houses, that driveway is going to slope towards the street. All that stormwater is going to run into our sewers instead of percolating inside the lot. And then also, attached garages to homes may present itself, it may provide more exposure to garage-related fire hazards. These are just some highlights that within this time allotment that I hope kind of bring us back to the comprehensive plan and let us use that as our guide as we move forward. And that hopefully you can understand that removing the 40% rule is contradictory to what we've all agreed to in this plan to pursue and achieve. So, thank you.
Thank you. The next card I have is for Carol Dunkey. And while Carol is coming forward, if you are online and would like to make a comment in our front-facing garage discussion, please go ahead and use that raise your hand function so we can get to you next. Thank you very much.
I'm Carol Danke. I live at 305 Simmons Avenue, and I am supporting keeping the 40% rule. It protects our historic districts from inappropriate front-facing garage additions. This is a zoning law. It's applied by the city planning department. It carries the force of a law. There are design guidelines that are applied by the Architectural Review Board. These guidelines are not laws. If the zoning law allows it, the ARB can't make it go away. So if the zoning law says we can have front-facing garages anywhere in the city, including the historic districts, the ARB cannot use a design line to make it go away. There's a difference between a law and a guideline. And at this time, the 40% rule is the only law that is keeping front-facing garages out of our historic neighborhoods or out of our historic districts and our historic landmarks. And during the summer, when Mr. Leepson was here, he did research and verify that for us. The 40% rule is the only law protecting our historic districts from front-facing garages. Inappropriate additions like front-facing garages on historic properties can cause them to be removed from the National Register of Historic Places. If they're removed from the National Register, the homeowners or property owners can no longer qualify for state and federal historic preservation tax credits. And that can apply to both residential and commercial properties that are landmarks. Additionally, the City of Webster Groves is a certified local government, also known as a CLG. The CLG status is conferred upon cities by the Missouri State Historic Preservation Office in conjunction with federal preservation officials. Part of the way that we qualify for a CLG is because we have qualified historic preservation commissioners to be stewards of our historic properties. If the city fails to protect our historic properties, we can lose our CLG designation. Part of the reason for a CLG is that it allows the city to apply for state and federal preservation grants.
Time.
If we lose our CLG, the city loses access to those potential grants.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone online who would like to make a public comment? All right, I do not see any raised. Oh, no, but Bud, does this feel like the right conversation? All right, thank you.
Well, I don't know what to say.
Would you please state your name and your address?
My name is Sebastian Bud Palomo.
Thank you.
I live at 118 Summit Avenue. Been there for a long time. Without a garage. It's a brick home, nice home. I love the home, but I'm getting too old to scrape snow and ice off my windshield anymore. So I'd like to build a garage. I want to build it with a front-facing door on the right side of the front of the house. Brick to match the house. Right now, I can't do that. I could do it and build it with a door facing off this way. It sounds like I could do it that way. But that means I had to change my driveway to go across the front of the house. So I try to learn if there's any chance possible, if the code can be changed so that I could build the garage where I want it with a front-facing door. There are houses on my street. Well, the houses aren't on my street, but their garage doors are on my street. Facing my street, several of them. What's the difference? What's the damn difference? Excuse me, what's the difference? What's the difference? That's all I'm asking for. Please consider a change in the code. And I want to say thank you, Marie. Thank you, Dr. Peoples, for your service here.
Hey, Bud, I had a question. Those garages that are on your street that doesn't include the house, do those garages take away from the character of your community?
Sure.
Thank you, Bud.
Mine wouldn't.
I do want to comment. This would be a case where a hardship could be demonstrated. However, would that go to Board of Adjustment, or would that be something he could demonstrate when he's applying and going to the ARB?
Peter, it's Board of Adjustment, isn't it?
It would go to ARB, but it would have to go to the Board of Adjustment first.
Okay.
Right.
But it's doable.
It's doable.
Well, assuming that ARB and the Board of Adjustment grants it, right? We can.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear.
What's his hardship?
Yeah. Okay.
That he doesn't have room on one side of the house, the side that he does have the room, it has to face the front.
So I don't think that this is the appropriate venue for us to discuss what his hardship might be, or me to bring up what my hardship might have been, or you to bring it. So I think, yeah, I think, but your
But
central
I'm saying
question is right.
This
Yes.
is the example of a
Yeah.
hardship that would need to go through the process based on.
All I need to know is who do I need to talk to?
So thank you very much. What, so you've made a public comment in support of if this, we can change, if this bill would address your concern, you'd like to see that. If we don't have this bill, then the Board of Adjustment is the option that you would take.
Board of Adjustment?
Yeah,
You talk to city staff during business hours. They can help you.
yeah. They're sitting right behind you. If you haven't met John and David yet, you need to.
Well,
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bud.
All right. I would also, in terms of public comment, I know we had a correspondence from Farrell Carfield in support of this legislation and in support of being more lenient than the 40%. I'd like to go ahead, if no one objects, and include that. We also had another correspondence today from someone who said they couldn't be with us tonight, who was also in favor of removing the 40%. If we can just include both of those in the record. Does anyone object? Oh, no, and I was just reminded also that one of our former colleagues wanted to be put on record. That's another correspondence that we've heard about, from Sarah Richardson, yes. Okay, she's already on the list. Okay, good. So we don't have to add her
Before
then.
we close it, can I ask questions?
Of course you can.
Can we talk about the historic areas in Webster and how this would affect it? Would this rule apply to historic areas, for instance, right behind Old Webster?
Would apply citywide as far as I know.
I thought there were additional rules and regulations for the historic district that we have to abide by as well.
I did go in and find the guidelines, and they're all, like I mentioned earlier, they're all very similar in their language. Central Webster guidelines for preservation, and I read what the auxiliary buildings had to do. I don't know that that necessarily precludes a front-facing garage, though.
And is there anything illegal? Would there be anything illegal about us excluding the historic areas already from this if we remove the 40% rule?
I'm not sure why it would be illegal. I think maybe the practical nature, it might be difficult to write the legislation so that it applies. But the bottom line is we treat historic districts differently than we do other ones anyway.
Exactly. So we could do a carve out for historic districts if we were to remove the 40% rule.
So the reality of the historic district is that the code citywide applies, but there are the additional protections and the additional steps that have to be followed before any of that work can be done, right? But they still sit in the same districts. I mean, it's not like there's an A3 historic district, right? It's still an A3. It just has the historic district classification on top of it. Realistically, what we would likely do is change some of the code related to historic districts, and then leave the citywide code, leave that unmodified, so that it's just modified specific to historic districts. I don't have any reason off the top of my head why it would be impossible to do.
I mean, aren't there different setback requirements in the historic district?
They're per zoning categories, A1, A2, A3, and A4.
But there's different exterior requirements in the historic district.
Sure. Most everything needs to go to the A or B.
So is the fear, I guess I'm not asking you to express other people's fears, but I'm just trying to understand this and talk through it. So I apologize. If we remove the 40% rule and it applies to the historic district, is the fear that they would tear down the historic homes? Or that they would add a garage? Or is it both?
Could be both. I mean, yeah, it's Yeah, and the scrutiny on historic homes is certainly greater than it is on some other homes as far as tear downs and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so the teardowns would be more difficult. to
But,
restore.
but could we, if they came in with even a front-facing garage right next to the home, is there anything that precludes that from them from doing that if the 40% rule goes away? And I'm not comfortable enough to say, nah, that's not going to happen. Because they certainly could.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of those homes, I understand why they would, like Bud, I think is a perfect example
Mhm.
why some people might want a front-facing garage
Sure.
in those circumstances where they have no other option. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to add that like we're talking about historic districts, but we also have historic properties that aren't in an actual district. So if we were gonna try to carve out all of that, it might get unwieldy.
Like, what are you referring to? The Lestron homes? Or,
I mean, we have homes that due to their age fall under the protection of HPC,
Oh.
Historic Preservation Commission. And some of those have gone for local historic designation as well.
Yeah, thanks. Let's be careful about what the rule is 50%. Well, and that's actually, never mind. I was gonna say, if that's for tear down alone. So I think we need to be careful about by age. Some of that doesn't necessarily make them historic. That just makes them required to go through the process.
I agree. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that like historic districts might not encapsulate
Yeah.
all the homes that we want to protect.
That's fair.
Or even all of the neighborhoods, because they're not all recognized as historic districts.
All right. I think we did check online, right? So we did do that. So we are now to the point where I believe we're finished with public comments. And if we could have the city attorney enter things into the record for us, please.
Would ask, you made part of the record, one exhibit, public hearing notice.
All right, I am then going to close the public hearing. Anyone object to that? No, all right, the public hearing is now closed, and then if we could have Councilmember Alexander call for the first and second reading of Bill number 9299, please.
Yes, Mayor, I would like to call for the reading of Bill number 9299.
second?
Right.
An ordinance amending chapter 53, article 6, performance standards, section 53-203, additional attached garage regulations of the zoning code of Webster Groves.
Right, is there any additional discussion? We're going to get an amendment about carports for certain. And then is there anything else specifically that any member of the council wants before we bring this back?
Well, the historic districts, if there was.
Would you like a specific way to, yeah,
We have 3 historic districts?
3 or 4, I'm not totally familiar with those 3 or 4 that at least where this would apply. Yeah. For clarification, I had on my notes, certainly the garage definition, if I may,
please.
I get back up and talk. And also, I believe how much research I can do, I'm not sure what data is going to be usable or anything like that as far as Councilmember Alexander's question about affordability and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to
be
make it a
great.
full-fledged thesis, certainly, but I at least want to be able to maybe touch on to see if there is any relevance to
Okay.
connection between affordability and front-facing garages. And I'd be happy to look at the historic part as well. I'm not quite sure exactly what.
I guess what we would need I mean, Councilmember Alexander, you may want to speak to this, but it sounds like a strategy. If the bill were to change 40%, what is the strategy that the council would need to undertake in order to protect the historic district?
Yeah, if the 40% rule goes away, what happens to the historic districts?
And to consider that 40% the,
And I think that's more a question for us as opposed to for more information.
okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I think we'll have the second reading then, please.
An ordinance amending chapter 53, article 6, performance standards, section 53-203, additional attached garage regulations of the zoning code of Webster.
All right, we're going to move on. Thank you all for participating in the public hearings. We're going to move on to remarks from community and visitors on other topics. I have one card, and that is from Mr. Dave Buck. Send all these down.
Dave Buck, Colonial Village Apartments. What I want to say is that I think it was one meeting ago or 2 meetings ago, I want to speak to your resolution. I probably, in my 25 years, I've never been more proud of City Council than the resolution that you all written, you read, everyone took apart. I thought it was tremendous. I think I sent an email out the next day saying that, to me, it was not just a resolution, it was a statement of the character of our community. Now, a lot of times when we talk about character in Webster Groves, it's architectural, it's look and feel and stuff. I'm talking about the character of our community, honesty, kindness, acceptance, generosity, empathy, humility, etc., the character of the community. You all shared that with us and with me. And I'm going to share something back to you. This was something that my mom gave to me in 1992. It was from Marianne Williamson. This was the last thing my mom gave me before she succumbed to Alzheimer's disease. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And I want to sincerely thank all of you for shining the light of that resolution on all of us and in liberating us to live a very happy life. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. All right, is there anyone who's online who would like to make a community remark? I do not see any hand raised. Is there any new business from members of the council, city attorney, city manager? No, we will move on to our scheduled new business. Councilmember Franklin, could you call for the first and second reading of bill number 9300, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to call for the first and second reading of bill number 9300.
An ordinance amending chapter 60, the traffic code, article 16, section 60.960, schedule E, school stops and school zones to designate a portion of South Gore Avenue and West Cedar Avenue as school zones and matters related thereto.
All right, I don't think this needed a presentation. We don't have one, right? Does anyone have any questions or comments?
My only note is that the photo at the end looks like it's from a different intersection. So we might want to, at least in our packet.
Okay.
So we might want to swap that out.
Thank you.
All right, we'll have a second reading then, please.
An ordinance amending chapter 60, the traffic code, article 16, section 60.960, schedule E, school stops and school zones to designate a portion of South Gore Avenue and West Cedar Avenue as school zones and matters related thereto.
All right, thank you. Is there anything anyone would like to remove from the consent agenda?
No, but can I ask a question?
Yes.
Please. I just have a question about 2026-15 and the mowing services. that, what does that encompass? Is that contracting with a mowing service for our grass and such?
Yes, it's specifically mowing several parklands, so that park staff then have extra time and opportunities to go mow right away and other than park properties.
Okay, so they can spend their time more effectively.
Yeah, and we bid it out that way because we get a better bang for the dollar if they're mowing, say, Southwest Park, but then if they go to 5 or 6 different smaller right-of-way areas. So we got a better deal from the bids to do it that way. And then city staff will go have extra time. Instead of mowing Southwest Park, they'll be able to go mow those right-of-way properties.
Great. I
or
really
city
just,
properties.
I appreciate that so much. And you know, that'll just, I think, make our city look really great for this upcoming summer season, spring and summer season. And I'm really grateful that you guys have made that pivot. Thank you.
While you're-
Ask about the temporary liquor license.
No, Emily's gonna do that.
Does that impact or have anything to do with the when we have properties that's not right away properties?
Yes, all those other properties.
That need to be because the owners or tenants haven't cut them, and so we've got to go through that whole before they get a citation and all of that, and then be able to go do that.
Sorry, no, ma'am. So this would be, city staff would then be able to go mow any of the properties that we own.
Right.
You know, we own housing parcel properties. We'd be able to mow those. For ones that are still occupied or owned by other folks, the city would not be mowing those. That would still go through the planning department. They'd get their 10-day letter, and then eventually we would send a different contractor out to mow them and then place a tax lien on their against their property. We would just be mowing any of the city-owned properties and rights of way and such.
Thank you.
Scott, my question was just about the, like, this is an increase of 41,000. What was, do you know what the amount was that we already included in the budget?
0.
Oh, 0. So we're going from 0 to 41.
Yes, ma'am.
But the proposals came in from like 75 to 230. So how does?
So this 40 is just the remainder of this fiscal year.
I see.
Through June
The
30th.
summer will
And then
go over both.
we'll be putting this into the proposal for the fiscal year 27 budget.
Makes sense.
For the full, I think it's like 72,000, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Perfect. Thanks.
All right, Councilmember Smith, could you call for the adoption of the consent agenda, please?
Second.
Councilmember Bliss,
Yes.
Councilmember Franklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander,
Yes.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Hassmeyer.
Yes.
Mayor Arnold.
Yes. All right, I believe that concludes our meeting outside of a short closed session that we need. Councilmember Bliss?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to call for an executive closed session related to attorney-client privilege communications, Missouri Statute 610.021 subsection 1, and personnel, Missouri Statute 610.021 subsection 3.
Second.
Councilmember Franklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander,
Yes.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Hassmeyer.
Yes.
Mayor Arnold.
Yeah.
Councilmember Bliss.
Yes.